Yeah, sorry, once again I'm late to this one, but this week's episode of The Flash was another solid one, I have to say. Now, the story behind this one is that it's basically the conclusion to this little arc that they had going on throughout the season, the arc being Firestorm, and what happened to Ronnie and Dr. Stein. So so it picks up immediately after the last one left off, where it's the huge explosion, and they think that both Ronnie and Dr. Stein have been killed, but it turns out no, they've actually been separated. It worked. So they go back to the lab. They think everything's normal, and they start talking about where they're going to go from here, but it turns out that they're not quite as separate as they thought. First of all, they still feel whenever something is happening to the other person. For instance, if Dr. Stein is very cold, then Ronnie feels very cold. If one of them is in pain, then the other one feels the pain also. And even some of the traits that one of them has been transferred over to the other. For instance, Dr. Stein likes pizza now since Ronnie likes pizza. So there's that, and in addition, General Eiling, played once again by Clancy Brown, he catches on to their trail and starts trying to capture Firestorm because of the potential for a human weapon. Okay, so he basically just sees metahumans as a human weapon, and Firestorm is it's his main objective. So they have to evade General Eiling while at the same time trying to deal with the new problems that their not quite separation poses. Okay, so what I liked about this episode in regards to being the conclusion of this arc is that it seems like this Firestorm arc has gotten more personal as it has gone along. At first, it was just kind of mysterious and scary, like Ronnie turns out to be this homeless-looking guy on the street, muttering basically incoherent speech, and then as it's gone along, we've gradually seen more and more of the backstory behind it, until now these are two fully fleshed out characters, Dr. Stein and Ronnie, and both of them are well acted by Robbie Amell and Victor Garber. Now, in addition, what else did I like? Well, there's the usual excitement that comes with episodes like this, where they're actually having to break someone out or rescue someone or basically anything to mix up the formula of new episode, new metahuman, almost like metahuman of the week. This one didn't really have that, which again was already breaking the mold and providing us something fresh to sink our teeth into. Although I have to question this. A lot of the writing behind this show thus far has tried to put at least some scientific justification into a lot of the elements behind some of the superpowers and some of the more comic book aspects. But seeing the one person, the one Firestorm in the last episode, all of a sudden split into two people, doesn't that kind of go against the law of conservation of matter? All of a sudden you have two people where one person used to be. It's just odd. I found that kind of odd, because if it was something in Dragon Ball Z where two characters fuse together, then I can accept it because it's Dragon Ball Z. It doesn't really obey the laws of science, but for something like this, which again has tried to provide at least some scientific justification behind a lot of what it's doing, I don't know, it just seemed they just seemed to kind of wave it away. In fact, no, they didn't even wave it away. They didn't even address it. So I just found that kind of odd. But again, I suppose that can be considered a nitpick. Although one problem with this episode is that General Eiling, he's not exactly an interesting character. They were on the right track in his speech to Dr. Stein about how he was comparing metahumans to a lot of the really deadly weapons that mankind has come up with in the past. I think that we're on the right track there, and they could have really had something. But as it stands, and given what happens to him at the end of the episode, I don't really know if I'm spoiling anything considering how late this video is, but given what happens to him, I honestly think they could have made him a little bit more interesting, aside from, instead of just, one-dimensional bad guy. Or that, that's unfair. I'll give him two-dimensional bad guy. But again, you see the problem here. But really, that's not where the biggest strength of these episodes lie. It's in the characters, and as far as these characters go, I still like them. I still like seeing them react. I like seeing them react to this new scenario. I thought the sort of little mini conflict between Ronnie and Dr. Stein, and how they really don't like each other particularly, especially after spending months sharing a body. It seems like they would naturally want to get apart as quickly as possible, but given how they left these episodes off, I actually like the fact that they didn't try to go for this tragic ending about, we both have to sacrifice ourselves, blah blah blah. No, they actually leave it open for future expansion, which I think works better than, having the character essentially become a martyr, having the character just killed off just for the sake of being killed off, or just for the sake of a downer ending. So, yeah, as far as this episode goes, it was well paced, it was well acted, it was well written, all that good stuff, except for a one-dimensional villain. I never really liked General Eiling, and if it wasn't Clancy Brown playing him, I get the feeling I would just forget about him instantly. But they got Clancy Brown, so at least there's that. At least I can appreciate the fact that, hey, it's Clancy Brown playing this guy. There's not really a whole lot of meat to this guy in terms of the script, but hey, it's Clancy Brown in the Flash. Now I have to address the little post credits or post title scene at the end of the episode, because basically what happens is we actually get all sorts of reveals of stuff that has been strongly hinted at thus far, but it was still nice to see more of it. For instance, we saw Dr. Wells in the Reverse Flash costume, and he basically abducts. This is a spoiler. He basically abducts General Eiling and brings him to the sewer, his little sewer lair. And General Eiling is subsequently killed by Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd we get to see a little bit more of. We don't get to see him fully, or at least not yet. He sort of comes out of the shadows, so we see almost like a silhouette, like this shadowy silhouette. And we hear his voice because General Eiling, I have to wonder if this was a reference to Superman 2. General Eiling is like, "Oh God," and this really monstrous voice comes out of the darkness and is like, "Not God, Grodd," and just snatches him and kills him. Now, first of all, I have to address a few things. First off, what kind of Grodd are we going to get in this show? And is this version of Grodd still evolving in regards to his mental capacity or his ability to articulate? Because basically, from what we saw or what we heard, it seems like the version of Grodd that they are going for on this show is more monstrous rather than intellectual. So I have to wonder, are they going to compromise that just to make him just a scary generic creature? Just a scary generic CGI creature for the Flash to fight. I hope they don't do that. But again, it's not really like we've seen much with the character of Grodd. I still don't know how they're going to achieve this feat of CGI, and it looks like they are going the CGI route if that little glimpse was any indication. But I still don't know how they're going to achieve this type of CGI on a TV budget, or at least there's a difference between just having the Flash run across the screen at super speed and actually creating a living, breathing CGI character and not having it look ridiculous. But in addition to that, I'm also kind of wondering, are they already going to do they're not going to do the Flashpoint paradox this early, are they? Because Barry is talking about how he's eventually going to go back in time to the night his mother died and fight the Reverse Flash. And he's talking about changing the future. So I have to wonder, are they going to do the Flashpoint paradox? Because that seems a little counterproductive to what they're trying to do, because not only do they have the Flash universe to worry about, but they also have the Arrow universe. So are they going to risk resetting all of this? But again, looking forward to the next one, which unfortunately we're not getting until the middle of March. So yeah, until then.